Okay, guys, let's play chess, not checkers. When it comes to your finances, I want you to think of it as the entire board and not just a single piece. Finances are not finite, and they have much more to do with the strategy that you choose to use than they have to do anything when it comes to like how much money you're making or how many pieces you have on the board. If you know how to use each piece in the way that's most advantageous for you and your family or whatever your financial goals are, you can win the game even if you don't have a lot of pieces. And one of the ways that I found this out was by learning about life insurance, right? Because life insurance is one of those pieces on the board that can, when used properly and structured correctly, can be very advantageous for you in the long run. Because a lot of us, we're so, into the hype when it comes to making money. Like, we want everyone to invest in stocks. But when we lose money, because there's no downside protection, we throw a fit and we say, oh, it's a scam. If we invest in real estate and let's say the property isn't coming as quickly as we thought it would and maybe we're a little bit over leveraged, we blame real estate and say, oh, it's too complicated. Same thing when it comes to things like a 401k as a W-2 employee, right? We'll say we lost money in our 401k this year. 401ks are bad. Different agents, different salespeople, different financial advisors are all going to have different takes on each particular piece that's on the board or each particular financial instrument that's on the board. And what we have to realize is that there is no one solve all problem, right? Like if you find a queen type of financial instrument that moves like a queen that can be used in a bunch of different ways in one piece, then that's great. If you have like a bishop, if you have a bishop that can only go diagonally, but it can be really good when it comes to long-term plays or guaranteed movement, then that's what you have. That would be similar to like a bond. What I really want you guys to focus on is not how each of these pieces perform or underperform individually, but how you can leverage all of the pieces at the same time to be able to be strategic in the way that you reach your financial goal. Which a lot of people, what they don't know is a way for you to have tax-free retirement, income in general, or additional cash for you to be able to invest into things like assets. I'm never going to be the type of person that tells you that you should put all of your money into one financial vehicle, because diversification is really what's the most important. This is how wealthy families, specifically affluent ones, have been able to maintain a wealthy lifestyle where they have a bunch of houses, they have a bunch of businesses, they have a bunch of assets that they can leverage in their life to fund their lifestyle. And the reason why they're able to do this is because they properly are able to set up all of the pieces on their board so that they can leverage it to reach their financial goals and avoid having to pay taxes. Now, let's say you took all of the pieces off the board. That piece wanted to show out a little bit. It's okay. Let's say you're a W-2 employee. Now, what I realized as a W-2 employee is that, yeah, you're going to make money. But the more money you make, the more money you have to pay in taxes. Because you have more money that you have to pay in taxes, that's less income coming into you and your household, right? And as a W-2 employee, you don't have as many things that you can write off, right? So that kind of makes you kind of like a pawn. Like you can only move up. You can't move backwards. You can't go sideways. You can't go diagonal, right? You're pretty much stuck in this one spot. But let's say you take your W-2 income and then you also take, or I'm going to flip it this way so you can really see it. Let's say you take your W-2 income and you couple it with a 401k. The great thing about this is that your 401k is funded with pre-tax dollars, which means that it is deducted from your taxable income. So some people are going to say, hey, listen, 401ks are not a good asset for you to have. And I don't necessarily disagree, but it's all about how you leverage it, right? Because 401ks have no downside protection. But it is a good way for you to put money away so that you can reduce your taxable income. Now, let's say you have a W-2 job, you have a 401k, and everyone's got to retire eventually. Nobody wants to work forever. So you take an annuity. Right? Now this annuity is going to provide you a way to have a retirement income without you having to pay taxes on it immediately, right? So you can accumulate your money, or even better, you can roll over the money that you have built up and accumulated in your 401k into an annuity. And in this annuity, once you reach the age of maturity, you can then receive retirement income with downside protection, right? Now, most people are going to say, hey, listen, this 401k isn't worth it. You should just completely invest into an annuity. You can do that as well. But with an annuity, you don't necessarily get to deduct that off of your taxes, right? Like you can contribute to an annuity while you're working, but you don't get to deduct that from your taxes. That's an additional expense. But with the combination of both, you get a little bit of tax incentive and you get to make sure that you're protecting your retirement in the future. That's a strategy, right? A very simple 2-part strategy, and it's doable no matter where you are, right? Let's try another one. I like my little chess pieces. This is really helping me stay focused. Okay. As a business owner, you won't necessarily get an employer-funded retirement plan like a 401k, right? You are in charge of your own retirement. But you do get a lot more opportunity to write off deductions and expenses so that you can reduce your taxable income, right, as a business owner. And if you structure your LLC or your S Corp or your C Corp properly, it is considered a completely different entity and receives a completely different tax code that allows you to write off these deductions, right? So let's say you have a business. I'm actually going to make the queen the business because you can do a lot with this business, right? Now, some people are going to say you should avoid credit cards. Credit cards are a form of leverage. Credit, debt, loans, those are all forms of leverage. Now, if you utilize debt, it is not considered taxable income, right? Because you're borrowing money to be able to invest in money. Let me run the play for you. Let's say you open a business. You open a couple credit cards, or let's say you get a loan. You invest that loan into an asset like real estate property, or even, let's say it's even smaller than that. Let's say you invest it into another business. You do like some type of venture capitalist situation where you invest in the business, you get equity back, right? In the eyes of the tax code, none of this is taxable to you at the end of the year because you used debt or a form of credit to be able to invest into this asset. And as long as you never pull money from this asset, you won't have to pay any taxes on it as a business owner because you used debt to purchase the asset. Right? Now this asset can be anything. Let's say it's a place to live. Let's say it's a rental property. That's very doable. Let's say it's a rental property. If it's a rental property, this means that people are paying your company rent to be able to live there. Now, let's say there's enough rent available being paid by the tenants already occupying the space, but there's one little apartment off to the side that, it doesn't really make or break the business if nobody occupies the space. You can occupy the space. And as a business owner, you're able to write off your water, your light, your heat, everything, all of those repairs, any expenses you can write off because technically they would be considered a business expense. So even if you are producing some sort of income as a business owner who owns this rental property, you can write off your own living expenses. That's a play. That's a play. Now, let's say you got a loan for this rental property, right? You invested in the rental property. It's generating income. You haven't liquidated any of the money from the asset or taken any equity out. It's just generating income within the business, right? But you use debt. So the amount of money that you have that is debt is going to be subtracted from the income that you created. And that little amount of income that you made or profit that you made, that is what's going to be taxable. But let's say you borrowed a lot of money for this and you had a little bit of money left over. And let's say you purchased a life insurance policy, right? So, okay, I have a business. I got some debt or I got a loan. I used that loan to purchase a rental property so that I can live for free. And then with the additional money that I had left over from the loan, I invested it into a high cash value life insurance policy, which is going to generate cash immediately in my cash value account, right? Now, if I do that, then that means within the first year, I'll have money in my cash value account that I can leverage immediately. So let's say I leverage some of this money and I could do anything. Let's say I go purchase a brokerage account. I'm going to make it a castle because they're kind of similar. Let's say I go leverage some of the money in my cash value. Let's say it's $1,000. I leverage the money in my cash value. I take it out in the form of a policy loan and I go purchase some stock in a brokerage account. Did you know, and I don't think many people know this, did you know that in specific type of brokerages like Charles Schwab, Fidelity, if you have over a certain amount of money and assets, you can borrow against your own stocks without having to sell them, which means that I can pull equity from stocks without having to sell them, which would be considered me receiving money in the form of a loan. And then I can go take that loan and purchase more stocks, purchase different assets. I could go invest in real estate if I want to. And the money and the stocks that is in the stocks will continue to increase or decrease based on how the market's performing, right? And as long as you don't decrease too much, you can pretty much keep that loan afloat, right? Or even better, if your stock overperforms, you can almost like cover the loan payment just from the stock itself. And it's still not considered as income. So let's say you take that money from the brokerage account and you go buy you a company car. Where is my income? What are you taxing me on? You can't get me for capital gains tax. You can't get me for withdrawal because I took the money out of my life insurance policy through a policy loan. You can't get me for my rental property because all of that is coming through my business and half of that is being paid for via debt. And I still have my business and I'm technically living for free and I just bought a company car with even more debt. So at the end of the year, when my tax attorney or my CPA looks at my balance sheet, when my CPA looks at my balance sheet at the end of the year, she's going to see a bunch of assets, but she's not going to see a whole lot of income, which means that my amount of taxes that I have to pay back at the end of the year is going to be significantly less than what it otherwise would have been if I were to withdraw the money from my, brokerage account. If I were to withdraw the money from my life insurance policy, if I were to take profit from my real estate, or if I were to fund all of this myself as a business owner, right? But because I didn't and I used credit through my business, I'm able to purchase all these assets and almost create like a trickle down effect. And what's even better is that all of these are going to continue to compound in value over time. So as long as I continue to invest correctly, this asset is going to continue to become more and more valuable over time. As long as I continue to fund my policy correctly, that policy is going to continue to be more and more valuable over time. As long as I take care of my properties, my real estate properties, and I'm making sure that I'm doing the updates and I'm managing my tenants well and they're paying on time, this is going to continue to increase in value over time. And same thing with my business. Tell me why we're trying to be like, oh, this is better than that. It's not about one asset being better than the other or one financial vehicle being better than the other. It's about the strategy. Does that make sense? Comment a lightning bolt in the comments if that makes sense. And this is what I teach in my Wealth Secrets webinar. I basically talk to people about how to leverage different financial vehicles to be able to grow their wealth, right? And protect it. So let's go even deeper. I'm gonna bring out the king. This is a king, right? Now let's say this is a trust, right? So what does this mean? What is a trust? A trust is basically, it's not an entity, it's more like an agreement or a contractual agreement that has the ability to hold assets within it, right? And own assets and assign trustees to have control over the assets, right? So let's say I open a trust and I put the company in the trust. I put the company car in the trust. I put the real estate that is owned by the company in the trust. I put the life insurance in the trust, and I put the brokerage account in the trust, right? And any lines of credit also belong to the trust, right? Let's say this person, I don't know, maybe they're not happy with me. Maybe they feel like they don't like me. Maybe they want to come after me for my money and they feel like they should have a percentage, right? Well, this trust acts as a barrier so that people can't just come and attack my assets willy-nilly or whenever they feel like it, right? And even better, now trust, they come in all different sizes. So I do recommend that you sit with a trust attorney to actually walk you through what trust will work best for you. But the benefit to having a trust is that if somebody wants to come in and try to destroy and take you for everything that you have, they can't. It provides asset protection. And with asset protection, not only are you able to protect the assets that are currently compounding, but you can also pass them on to the next generation and provide specific instructions on exactly how you want that to happen. This protects your money from taxes. This protects your money from any outstanding loans, debt, or whatever that people want to attack you for, including lawsuits. And that's putting people's assets, people's homes, people's real estate properties, people's businesses at risk, right? And you don't want that to be you. And this is what I cover in my Wealth Secrets webinar. So if you're interested, go ahead and comment secrets below or wealth below, and I'll send you a link for you to join the webinar, and I'll also give you a special gift as well. So this is really the gems, y'all, that I'm trying to give y'all.